What's up, y'all? This is MindThread. Today we're reading this crazy story about childbirth. AITA for banning my husband and father-in-law from the delivery room due to their intensely stressful and creepy behavior during my pregnancy. OP, I don't really see how you would at all. BTA? But we're going to figure it out. All right. A lot of context, the character limit cuts off, but here's the gist. My husband and I are expecting our first child, which I know would be a really sensitive issue as his own mother died during childbirth. Oh, childbirth with him, too. Okay, wow. We met with a marriage counselor to talk things through at the beginning, and he swears he's been seeing his own therapist twice a month throughout my pregnancy. I don't want to call him a liar, but I'm fairly sure he's either not going or not talking about the big issue, which is he and his father, a hugely active part of our lives, and completely convinced that I'm going to die in childbirth. What am I reading? They won't openly admit it, but their behavior has reached the point where it's constantly making me feel stressed and uncomfortable. When it was my husband saying, please make sure your life insurance is up to date, and I'd like you to meet with a lawyer and draft a will. I was like, that's kind of intense, but okay, if that makes you feel better. When my husband asked me to go through all my possessions and quote-unquote inventory, what I wanted to be saved for the baby versus what I would want to be returned to my family in the event of my death, I put my foot down and said absolutely not. Too morbid, no way. My father-in-law, who lives a few blocks away and eats dinner with us 2 to 4 nights a week, got on my case about how I was making things quote-unquote difficult for my husband in the event that he will be a grieving widower with a newborn. So why are we assuming that right away? Why is it? What are we doing? What are we doing? I'm just going to add here that I've had a completely complication-free pregnancy, so they have no reason to think that I'm going to die. Okay, that's great. That's great. You know how I would feel if someone was like, hey, you're probably going to die. You're probably going to die, so draft a will. Like, let's get on that. I would literally die. That's terrible. When I tell my husband this, he calls me paranoid, but I feel like my father-in-law wants me to die. His whole life identity for the past 35 years has been amazing single dad. Never dated or had close friends or even hobbies really, and it seems like he's looking forward to being able to guide my husband through what he went through. At this point, I'd honestly be happy to never see my father-in-law again, and I certainly don't want him in the delivery room, especially since he has told me he was putting his foot down about me not being allowed to have an epidural or laughing gas. Are you serious? That's not even up to him to decide, bro. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Why are we? Let's be real. If overstepping was a person, I think he takes the cake here. He's a commanding presence, and I know that whatever he wants in the delivery room, he will get. I know people will say, oh, the nurses will never let that happen, but you haven't met this man. Okay, well yeah, wow. My husband, in addition to backing his dad on everything, acts like my due date is my death date and is completely pulled away from me. Every minute with him is morbid, stressful, and a reminder that our marriage seems to be crumbling. No matter how many times I tell him his behavior makes me stressed and upset, it's just getting worse, and I do not want it around me while I'm concentrating on giving birth. Do I owe it to my husband to let him stress and upset me during labor? No, you don't. Is his presence at the birth more important than a safe and healthy delivery? No. Deliver the baby and be healthy. No. If he's not welcome there or he's going to add to your stress, get him out of there. My therapist says no. Yeah, good on your therapist. But the whole thing has been so weird, I feel like I need some outside perspective. So I'm going to say this is already crazy. If this was told to me, like, hey, you're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. What would you do? I'd be pretty stressed. I'd be pretty like, whoa, what's going on here? Let's break this down. So you got the father-in-law who is just there, always existing. I don't know why he's like giving into this perspective. Also, like, why are we even talking about that? That is taking so much away from this. If that, like, you're not even going to be able to enjoy that day of delivery. Your husband's going to be like pre-grieving your supposed death. There's an update. Let's get it going. This is a long overdue update. I know I worried everyone, and I'm grateful every day for every ounce of concern that was sent my way. I'll be completely honest, I forgot the login information from my other account, and fussing about a throwaway Reddit account wasn't the highest priority in my life at the time. OP, we get it. We understand. We understand. Deal with that father-in-law first. We got a TLDR. That spoils it. I'm not going to read it. To get right into it, I was unfortunately right about my suspicion that my ex wasn't going to therapy. Okay, well, that's great. I sat down with him and very firmly put my foot down about my mother being my supportive person in the delivery room alongside him, and that my, thankfully, ex-father-in-law was not to be anywhere near the delivery room. I was also very adamant that I was getting an epidural, and ex-father-in-law had no say about any medical procedures I may take. Good stuff right there. I also told him that I was seeking my own therapist, and his father's actions were worrying. My ex-husband didn't take it very well, to put it simply. By the way, I read the TLDR, so I saw that she divorced. Great on the OP. Get out of there. I had never heard him shout at me like that, and it scared me a little. My ex-husband didn't take it well, to put it simply. I had never heard him shout at me like that, and it scared me a little. My fury outweighed my fear not long after, however. He told me I didn't need a therapist, that he was just trying to be prepared. I admittedly lost my temper and told him that I wasn't going to die. It wasn't my fault his father's trauma wormed its way into his head, and that he needed to fix it without taking it out on me. OP, great stuff. Putting your foot down. I love that. This is the best thing you could have done. You were fully expressing your opinion, and I love it. He yelled at me that he didn't need therapy. That caught me a little off guard. I asked him why he went to his therapist and was given advice about my death if he felt he didn't need it. His expression gave it away, and he caved not long after. It turns out there was no therapist. It was just his dad. Oh, that's phenomenal. So, yeah, we're just feeding the lies more here. During the times he was supposed to be at therapy, he was with his dad. I'm still fuming. Yeah, I mean, admittedly, that makes a lot of sense that his mind was so warped. His therapist was his dad. In the end, I gave him a choice. He could either go to therapy or I was leaving. I had enough of their delusions. He chose to refuse therapy. Are you serious? And I packed my things and stayed with my mother. Okay, Pop. He refused. Bro, talk about delusion. Man. At that point, I still wasn't planning on divorce. I had hoped that we could possibly fix our marriage, as naive as it sounds. But my ex decided that if he couldn't convince me to go back, then he would get his father and the rest of his family to do it. I had to change my number because of the amount of harassment they hurled at me. In the end, it was just my mother in the delivery room as I gave birth. I'm thankful for the nursing staff. They were a godsend, and I felt safe that neither my ex or his father would get even remotely close to the room without me saying so. The divorce is still ongoing, so I can't give too many details on that front, but I have hopes that we can work out a tentative co-parenting agreement. My ex isn't a bad father. He loves our baby girl, but our relationship is done. And as long as I live, ex-father-in-law will never be near my daughter. Yeah, good stuff, right? Protection. I'll wrap this up. I've got an adorable little toddler tugging at my leg at the moment. I'm alive, I'm happy, and I've got my baby in my arms. Life is good. Good stuff. Good stuff, OP. Okay. Guys, just gotta say, this is a crazy story. Okay, let's be real. Let's be real. OP has made some very tough choices, and I also think OP stood her ground perfectly in this moment. Perfectly. Stood ground, maintained strong, did not let the father-in-law walk all over her, did not let her husband walk all over her either. Stood the ground. This is great stuff right here. OP, you're gonna be a great mom. Proud of you. All right, y'all, and that concludes this insane Reddit story. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll see y'all in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.